anti-piracy watchdog ReCAAP says that the Straits of Malacca in Singapore continue to be an area of concern. It reported a record number of sea robberies last year, highlighting the challenges that exist for shipping companies in one of the world's busiest maritime corridors.
The Straits of Malacca and Singapore increasingly crowded, but ever more vital. The vessels plying these waters carry about 60% of global maritime trade, but their importance to commerce no less a deterrent to piracy. A total of 108 incidents were reported in 2025. That's 74% higher than the previous year. Industry observers say worsening socio-economic conditions could have contributed.
So a lot of these robbery cases, they are opportunistic in nature, and it's driven by socio-economic conditions. So it's about people losing jobs due to global changes, technology, or even climate. So we are talking about farmers, fishermen who have lost their jobs, and some of them are turning to this what we call avenues just to get by.
By the numbers alone, there is plenty of opportunity. More than 90,000 vessels annually and roughly one-third of the world's oil supply pass through the narrow waterway, which lies between Singapore, Malaysia and Indonesia. Most cases of piracy in 2025 took place in the congested Phillip Channel between Singapore and Indonesia's Riau Islands, which requires some tricky navigating.
Merchant vessel must slow down when they take a 90 degrees turn, and slow-moving vessel is a very, very convenient target for the perpetrators to board.
Analysts say perpetrators are typically low-level, opportunistic criminals, often operating from remote Indonesian islands.
The modus operandi has been to board the vessels, usually in the hours of darkness, typically between 2 and 6 a.m. Historically, they would target vessels that were easy to board, so those with a low freeboard, i.e. where the deck is closer to the water.
These people involved in this petty thefts, they like to carry out their act, steal things without being detected. The modus operandi reveals that the moment their presence is detected by the crew or there is an alarm by crew, they abandon the attack and they go away.
In nearly half the cases, nothing was stolen. When thefts occurred, items taken included engine spares, scrap metal and ship stores.
More recently, it has been targeted engine spares and other tools, machinery that can be lifted from the vessels and taken to their bases, well, presumably to be on-sold.
What we learned is that there is a demand for this engine room spare in a parallel market.
ReCAAP says most incidents were non-violent, with ship crew left unharmed. Nonetheless, they pose a safety risk.
They are happening in the restricted waters of a busy shipping lane. And incidents like, even though of a petty theft, they are unwarranted distraction for the safe navigation of the ship. It can lead to accident.
However, observers note the incidents remain a small fraction of overall traffic.
You need to look at the sheer volume of vessels that are transiting the Straits every single day, and it's still a very tiny proportion of those ships. So in terms of a macro level view, I don't think that there is a particular cause for concern.
ReCAAP says 87% of incidents occurred in the first 7 months of 2025, with the numbers falling sharply after arrests made by Indonesian authorities in July and August.
Late last year, among our members' community, one particular member, apart from informing the sea enforcement agencies, they took the additional step of reaching out to one of the island land enforcement agency. And combined with the high-resolution CCTV footage, the enforcement agency was able to take a new level of action, and that made it more impactful.
Despite the positive momentum, the shipping industry remains cautious, as experts stress the need for continued vigilance.
We have seen in the past that after there has been a number of arrests, there is a quiet period, and then over a period of time, those attacks will build up again. I think with greater technology, use of drones, imaging, satellites, coordination between the 3 coastal states, that will be the key to keeping these piracy incidents at a low level, or under control, I should say.
Sustained collaboration between merchant shipping, the authorities and enforcement agencies, continue that information exchange, sustain that vigilance. I think this is really key in keeping this in check.
Across Asia, piracy and sea robbery incidents rose by 23% last year, though overall severity declined. None were classified under the most serious category, involving weapons and crew injuries, compared with 2 such cases in 2024. No crew abductions were reported in the Sulu Celebes seas for the 5th consecutive year, with Philippine authorities saying the threat level remains low. This follows trilateral patrols by Indonesia, Malaysia and the Philippines, together with sustained military operations that dismantled the Abu Sayyaf Group, a regional terror organization.